So, welcome to this section, second part of the stuff. So, what we want to talk about here is loops in JavaScript. What is loops, right? Loops in JavaScript. Loops. When you are thinking of loops, I want you to be thinking of repetition, to repeat an action. Repetition, right? To repeat an action. You want to repeat something. Generally in JavaScript, we have two types of loops. We have the for loop and the while loop. For loop, while loop. That's two types of loop that we have. We have more. There's do while loop. Nobody actually uses it, right? So I'm not going to talk about it. So for loop, while loop. Just understand that you want to repeat an action. So where does action does it necessitate to repeat actions? Let me show you now. I want to print out from 0 to 100, right? So I will do console.log of 1, right? Of 2, of 3, until I get to 100, right? What if I want to do 1000? Am I going to go through the same all those processes? It's too long. So to make it faster, I already know that this is what I want to do. I want to do it 1000 times. So that is repetition like that. I want to repeat same thing 1000 times, right? So since I know that action is going to be repeated, I can apply loops, right? A typical loop has characteristics, right? Irrespective of whether it's for loop or while loop, they have the same characteristics, right? So this is what it looks like, right? The characteristics of loops is that a loop must have a start, where it is starting from. It must have a stop. It must stop. It is important that it stop. And I'll tell you why. I'll show you why. And it must connect, right? The start must connect to the stop using what we call the step. All loops must have this start, stop, and yeah, it's starting now. Okay, so I paused it. So these are the characteristics that we have for a loop, right? Start, stop, and step, right? All loops, irrespective of the loop, they must have these characteristics. It must start from somewhere. Now, you must take care that these three things exist in all your loops. It is important. If you don't take care, you will run into an error called infinite loop situation. And I'll show you why it is not good, right? Infinite loop what? Situation. Okay. I want to show you something. I want you to just wait for this. Don't try it on your own system. Are you doing?
5, 4, 3, 1, off blast! Fly away in my space rocket. You no need put money in my pocket. The door is closed, I just lock it.
I've never seen him.
I put my glow plug in your socket.
The sun and sky is bright like fire.
I've closed it, right? But it was the whole process that was. Now, that website actually it has a lot of stuff in stuff. It doesn't have stuff, right? The only way I have to stop it is to close it, right? Apart from that, he was trying to download some stuff into my system. Do you notice that?
Yes.
Right? So
But you have the choice to save it on it.
he saved on his own.
You save on your computer on its own.
Yes, now. It's typical behavior of a virus. That's how viruses behave, right? The reason why I'm demonstrating that to you is what will happen to you if you don't if you don't do this
I've seen it before.
infinite
Define,
loop
but
soup,
even here define.
right? Infinite loop situation, right? If you the eventual thing that will happen if you don't take care of this start, stop, and step is that you are going to run into this infinite loop situation, and you'll be forced eventually to what? To close down your system, right? To shut down the whole thing entirely, like we just done, right? So for loop, let me show you for loop. So we have a for loop. This is how it looks like. For loop, right? Then we are going to have start. You are going to have stop. You are going to have step. Then you are now going to this place. You know it is for repeating. So it is inside it that the thing you want to repeat will now be. Right? So this is what for loops look like. So to play with it, to do that 1 to 100 now, or 1 to 1000, we'll now say for, right? So we are going to have start. So we usually use I. It doesn't matter, you can use X, any variable. Let I equals to 0, right? Can you see I'm using semicolon there? I is less than 100.
Why is it always 0?
Because I want to start from reading from 0 now. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Doesn't matter, I want to start reading from 0 here. It will matter if you are looping through an array, because in array is 0 index, and you want to read from 0. It will matter if you are reading from array, but here I just want to read from 0. This one is just like a number I'm just picking arbitrarily. Then I'm using I++ to increment it. Now come here. I want to repeat. What do I want to repeat? Console dot log of I. Right? So that means I will be 0, then it will be 1, then it will be 2, until it gets to 99. It will never get to 100.
So what's the purpose of incrementing it?
I'm incrementing it one by one now.
Okay.
I'm incrementing it one by one now. It's without the increment, it will not go from 0 to 1 to 2 to 3 to 4. Right? The reason why it's not getting to 100 is because here I said it should end at less than 100. If I want it to end at 100, that means it should be less than or equals to. I'll put here. So it will reach 100. Right? So we can inverse it too. We can do the reverse of it. Same thing. But here I want to start from 1000. Right? I want to be greater than 100. I want to do minus minus 1998, right? Minus minus. Instead of minus minus, minus equals 5. Minus equals 6. Right? So here now, we are going to stop at 106.
Define that thing that you typed.
Eh?
Define it. I think you passed it.
Okay. So I'm starting from 1000. You know it is start, stop, and step. I want it to stop at 100.
Okay.
And I want it to be reducing by 6. Right? So I want to do again. I'm starting at 1000, Abi. I want it to be divisible by 6. So that means 1000 divided by 6. Then let's not use 6. 6 is too large. Let's use 2. 2 will be 500. Okay, let's use 1.5. 1.5 is. So here now, we're starting from 1000, right? 666, 444 until it gets. It will not get to 1000. Abi? Now, this is an infinite loop situation. Look at this very well. This is infinite loop now. It is starting at 1000. What did I say it should be greater than, I should be less than 100. Will I ever be less than 100?
If you started from 1000.
Yeah.
Yes, I can be less than 100. If you start.
It's starting from 1000. We are supposed to reach 100. Now we are saying it should come from under 100. It is never going to stop. Right?
It's never going to stop.
Right. So what is happening here is this. What's it called? Here we have starting from 1000, right? We said I should be less than what's it called here? 100, right? And we now want to do this division, right? So here, if you do this, let me leave this one alone first. For let I hello. So let's just do I let me do k now because I've been using I is 2, right? I is less than 20, Abi, and then I plus plus. Just for now, console.log of k. I use k. I'm going to run into error because it doesn't know what I is here. I didn't declare I here, so it won't see it. So, right? Let k equals to 2. K is greater than 20. K plus plus. This guy doesn't want me to. This guy is handling it.
What do you mean right now?
He's handling it. It's supposed to be good. It's supposed to go into infinite loop situation. Chrome is handling it for me. Let me see. I say Chrome, Firefox.
Solving the issue at the background.
No problem. Okay, no, Allah. Let's just go. We'll fix it. So I'm removing this. Let's go to while loop, right? So while loop looks like this. In while loop, we have something like this, right? We have the start outside. We have the stop in between. Inside it, we have the step, right? Then you now have the action you want to perform. That thing you want to repeat. The repeat, right? Where is it running to now? Sorry. Let me clear this one. So as I said, we have start, we have the while loop, and then we have the stop. We have the step inside it, and then we have the stop we want to repeat. So this here is what a while loop looks like. Right? That's what it looks like. So in a for loop, we'll do for let I equals to 0, Abi. So here we would have done for let p equals to 0, right? Then we say while p is less than 10, then now we can increase it. So p plus plus, right? P plus plus. Then what do we want to do with it? Console.log of p, right? So we are now having 0 to 9, right? 0 to 9. Eh? No, it's not 2 9. It's returning the last item. The last item. Whatever is here is what is just printing out as the last item. A typical, so if you forget to put this thing, right? The step. If you forget to put the step, it is handling it. It didn't allow me to enter infinite loop situation. It's not supposed to handle it. Eh? It's all of them. Since Chrome is handling it, this one too is handling it.
I did it for looping. I had to put switch off my laptop. I
Eh.
cannot close anything.
Okay, you know what? Let me try something. Let me try something, yeah? What did we write just now? Let k equals to 0, right? Then while
You see it handling, what does that mean?
handling it, we didn't allow it to go infinite loop. It knows that it is infinite loop that we enter, and then it's preventing it from entering it. While k is less than what's it called?
What's that thing?
While true, let me show you something. While true, wait, Joe. While true, console.log of k++. Okay, this one is not handling it. I'm forcing it to enter. What's it called? This thing will continue like this forever and ever. Right? Here we already have. You know, it's plus plus. It's adding one by one, Abby, and we are currently on what?
80,000 or something.
Is that 80,000? That's 1 million like this. So it's 1 million like this. So it's 3 now. It's 1 million like this. So if we this 12 million, 13 million now, right? It will continue like this forever and ever until I have to stop it. Right? So this is a typical example of what infinite loop is. So I'm forcing it there with the condition that I passed into that place. Now, those are the tools stuff with loops, for loop and while loop. But they are not useful on their own. They are useful with respect to something else. So we have names. You remember names? It's not here.
You cancelled it.
I did?
Hey, you erased everything. You erased everything.
Okay. Banks Nigeria. Banks Nigeria. Okay, no wala. Control L, Banks of Nigeria. Nigerian banks. Nigerian banks XYZ. So I'm going to copy this guy out again. I'm going to use the raw data. A copy, clear this one. Let banks Nigeria, right? Equals to that. So banks of Nigeria, right? No wala. So we know that banks Nigeria is an array, right? I want to loop through it. I want to collect all the names of the banks, just the names, right? I want to collect just the names of the bank. So I'm going to loop, right? I want to print all the names of the bank. So for let I equals to 0. I'm using I here. I can use index. Let index equals to 0, right? Index should be less than what? The banks of Nigeria. Sorry, banks. No, banks Nigeria. Right? Dot length. Right? It will work before. This reason why I'm using less than here is because the length is 38, right? And because it is starting and is 0, the last index will be 37. So index less than this will make this one to stop at 37 because we need it to stop. It cannot get to 38 because there is no index 38, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so index plus plus, right? So once we enter into that place, what I want is this. I want banks of console.log, right? I want to console.log, right, of banks of Nigeria. So banks Nigeria of index, right? So index will be 0, index will be 1, index will be 2. When it is 0, dot name, that dot name. So when index is 0, it should return the name, right? So now it is going to return all the names for me. I want to put this thing inside an array. This thing, instead of printing it out like this, I want to put it inside an array. So let names of banks in Nigeria, right, be an empty array. So
Banks Nigeria index.
be an empty array, right? So I am going to loop again. Now, instead of consoling now, I am going to call names of bank in Nigeria. Oh, sorry. Names of banks in Nigeria. Why is it running away? banks in Nigeria, dot push. I'm going to push it, right? So that once it gets access to one name, it is going to be pushing it into that access. So now, when you check names of banks in Nigeria, names of bank in Nigeria, it is originally empty, right?
Why don't you just do let names of banks in Nigeria? Then you now do equal to banks Nigeria index of name.
You know, this banks Nigeria now, it has many things inside.
And that's what I'm saying index of name.
And that's what I did now, index.name now.
And that's what I'm saying. Why you look into it when you could have just studied inside let banks of Nigeria.
I don't get it.
See now. Go. This place. I'm saying why didn't you insert this inside it? Like you store this.
How will you store it? I don't get it. This is an array. This is another array. There are two different arrays, right? I want the content of this one, some of the content of this one, to enter into this one.
Yes,
So I have to loop this one first, get that content that I want, and then pass it into this one, one by one by one. Which is what I just did here. Does that answer what you are saying? So here now, if you check the content of names of banks in Nigeria, you will now see this, right? You'll be able to see all these contents that we have here. The same way we have this, you can play around with it. This array is versatile. You will see it in a lot of places. If we go to, I want to show you something. If you go to neraland.com, right? Neraland.com, right? I want to show you like a simple, just inspect here. We are on console, right? In the console here, I'm going to clear this place. I want to see, in this place, right? I want to see all the links that are on this screen. I want to see the links, the images that are on this screen. I want to collect them out, right? So, like now, if I say document, if I get the document, it's going to return this whole document for me. Don't worry about document return. I will explain this to you shortly. Document.body. The body returns the whole body of it for me, right? You are with me? Okay. Document does get elements get elements. Why is it going now? Get elements. It's running away. Elements by
The ID
no tag name. Now the tag I want is A. Anchor tags. The links. Anchor tag A. So here now, notice that this thing, it looks like an array, right? When you open it, you go to the down, you have a length of 138. Each of these are all the links that are present on this web page. I want to do the same thing for images. These are all the images that are present on this place. Here, this is the logo. This is Neraland. This one here. This one here. That's this one. These are all the images that are present on this screen. Right? One by one, each of them like this, like this, like this. All the images that are present on this screen. That is what you are having here. This is useful for when you are trying to scrap a web page. Do you know what web scrapping is? Okay. So if I go to hotels.ng now, hotels.ng, and I want to, all these images, they are beautiful images. I want them somehow, somewhere for whatever thing I want them for. Project. I want to steal their picture. For price comparison, right? A typical example is now, you want to buy a device, right? You want to buy any device, right? Or you want to rent an hotel. You are traveling to Miami, right? And you want to know the cheapest hotel. but the best that has quality in Miami, right? Like you don't want to pay plenty money, but you want quality service, right? So how will you do about it normally? You go to plenty websites and be looking for all the hotels in Miami, right?
Price.
Yeah, you may be writing a price. Okay, this one, this one. So once you get all the cheapest one, you go to another website, you get all the cheapest one, right? Then once you get all the website, then you can now compare. Okay, this one is the cheapest. It offers this one is the cheapest. It offers this one. This one is the cheapest. What are you doing there? You are going through multiple sites, getting the data from each site, right? And then comparing those data together, trying to make decision, right? Then you now pick on one and say, okay, this is the one I want to pay for. Then you now pay for it. You have gone to multiple sites. That is what is called web scraping. I've used the example of trying to book hotels and getting the cheapest price, Abi, for your money. You can use it to you want to buy a car, right? And there are several websites that sell car in Nigeria. You want to buy Honda Accord, and you are looking for this particular model. This website is selling it for 5 million. Another website is selling it for 4.8. Another website is selling it for 4.7, right? But there can be 100 other websites. We want to know which one is the cheapest. How will you do it? You will do it one by one. Go until you find the cheapest one that sells the same car, right? Why do you need to go through all those individually like that when you can automate it, right? Automate it by primarily what you need is give it the name under Accord. What do you want? Price. Tell it the website to go to. It will go to that website and it will return the data you need, right? And then once you get that data, give it 1,000 other websites. It will go to all those other 1,000 websites and get that same data under Accord, price, return it, right? And then from there, you can do what? Comparison. Which one is the cheapest? Right? That is what we call web scraping, right? Companies build their whole entire structure on web scraping. Some other people call it reverse engineering, right? So like the bigger picture of it is what? Reverse engineering. Reverse engineering, right? So here now, I've been able to get all the images on Neuraland. This is an array. I can do anything I want with this one. I can download these images if I want to, right? Here too, I can come here. The same thing. All these images that are here. Why is this thing doing like this now? Why is it running away?
This is short.
I don't remember the shortcut.
You know, Control Shift, Command Shift type.
It's no, that's Windows. Something is wrong here.
Probably that thing that you did that you opened.
No, that one has gone. Okay, so we have this and we are done with this one, right? So what I'm trying to show is that the arrays that we are seeing here, that we are able to play around with in this place, right? They are not just only useful here. As you can see it here, we will see it in several other places in JavaScript, in the web, right? You should be able to recognize that once it comes around and you are able to see this one now. If I want to see the image at index 8, you will see this image. When you open it, where is, I clicked on it right now, Abi. When you open it, you are going to see this image, right? And this image is what? Get $50 bonus to start trading, right? So that is the one on index 8. It will have a lot of properties, right? A lot of properties that you want. But what I'm trying to explain to you is that behavior is an array, right? So I can loop through it and get all the data out, right? The same thing if you are looping through 1,000 websites to get that Audi name, right? Audi name. So you cannot do it individually. So you have these repeated actions. So you have to go through all those websites, repetition, right? And then, so that is what is happening here. We are looping through this and getting this. As I said, there is no benefit of while loop over for loop. They are the same thing. It's just you that will determine when you want to use it, right? The scenario will determine how you are going to use it, right? So as we have this now. So this one, there's a shorter way to do it for arrays. So now I'm going to do banks in Nigeria, right? Dot for each, like push. It's an array. So I'm introducing a new thing here, for each. This for each does the same job of this thing. For each. So instead of going through for loop, let index equal 0, something like this. For each, I'm just going to show you the syntax just for now. I'm not going to explain how it looks like because it's cumbersome somehow. For each, right, it will take the item. Don't worry about what I'm typing on. It's JavaScript though. And then we are now going to do each of the item dot name, right? Just so you know that I'm not writing rubbish. Console.log. Okay. Dot name. When I do this, it's printing out everything just like we did for this guy. Now, what I'm doing interestingly is so that is the thing that I said I will introduce later. We call it the arrow function. It's a function, and I've not talked about functions. That's why I've not.
And say another name for something. If you don't want to use something one way, use that.
And like, if you don't want to write out, what I'm saying is this thing now, it looks short and small. If you don't want to write out it like this,
Exactly. So
like this one that is long and everything, you can use for each. The one inside it that has that arrow is the what you call arrow function. And since I've not talked about functions at all, so you can call it arrow function, you can call it lambda. There is D. Okay, I've put D. Lambda. You can call it lambda. They are arrow function and lambda. They are the same thing. As it is here, it is in .NET. It is in Java. It's just the general name for it is sugar syntax. You can go and be battling that one. Sugar syntax, right? So the whole idea of sugar syntax is there are plenty in JavaScript. There are plenty in languages. Is that to make something short, right? Something that you already know. For loop. Okay, for loop looks long. Then I look for a short way to achieve the same thing. That's just what we mean by sugar syntax. So arrow function, that for each is a sugar syntax because what? The for loop already does the same thing. It doesn't do anything special. It just makes it what? Short. To write it shorter. That's why we call it sugar syntax. Right? So an example of sugar syntax that I'm showing you is arrow function. There are still plenty of examples. Don't worry about it right now, right? Once we come to functions, we are going to tackle it more and see how to build it out, right? You get? Okay, so those are primarily the ideas of arrays and objects, loops, right? I'm going to stop here, and this is where we are going to end our session for today. I am going to give you this data. Now, so this data, it looks more than this one, Abi. Does it look more than this one?
I think probably because that one is bigger. That's why it's smaller.
Oh, okay.
If you reduce it.
If I reduce it,
Yeah.
but it's still more.
It's more than the one.
Yeah. So this data is the data of Nigerian state and capital that I use for that project, that drop down stuff. Right. That's this one that I used there. So what I want you to do is to help me read this data. It looks plenty, but don't worry. It's not intimidating, is it? It shouldn't be intimidating because we have already.
What exactly you want me to do with it?
Yeah, I'm coming. Yeah. So what you are going to do is this. One thing is, I want to get I want you to do a list. I want you to have an array, right? The array will contain, each of the array will contain objects. You are
subject.
No, not this. This is your input. This is your input. I want you to have an array. The array will contain objects, right? The object will contain the name of the state, right? The object will contain the name of the state, and then that as the key. Yeah. So as the key, Then the value will now be the number of LGS in that state. LGA now, like Lagos. LGA are all these Ikeja, Ogbomosh, local government, all the local Koshofe. So now, so this data is state capital. So for the first one, we have Abia State, right? So I want you to look at how you can read it, right? You have to be patient. Carefully read the structure of the stuff, right? So when you are looking at it, you will see array, you see object, you will see array, like array inside object, inside array, inside object. So you have to be careful with reading it. So as you are reading it, I want you to generate like the same way here, based on that one, we were able to generate banks in Nigeria, right? This is the original data, right? And then we now generated names. So we now generated names of banks in Nigeria, right? This new array is based on this old array, right? So that's what I want you to do too. So you have this old array. I want you to create a new array. It will look like this, array like this, right? It will have object, comma, object, comma, object, right? Then the object will now be Lagos like this. Then the value will be maybe 32. That means it has 32 LGS, right? Then this one will be Delta, right? And then the value will be maybe 16 or 14 like that, right? So in front of, so we have an object. Inside the object, we have key value pair. The key will be the name of the state. The value will be the number of local governments in that state. So you have to carefully look at the data and read it out. So this is one. Once you have read this, this one is not an assignment, but I just want you to look at it. So we have Airbnb. You know Airbnb? Airbnb. To rentals and stuff. So they have sample data.
Is it a website?
It's a website now. This is Airbnb now. If you are traveling to anywhere, and this one is Nigeria now, and anywhere in the world. So if you go to Ibadan now and you want to rent, so these are people in their houses. They will rent out a room in their houses. So if I want this one now, I'll just click on it like this, and then I'll get this place. I'll get this place, Go TV, everything. It's not an hotel. Hotels should list there, no issue. Sorry. So for one night is $21 per night. So yeah, around 12,000. That's typically how much you get for for an hotel too now. So for one night you have a whole room to yourself. So people that go for weddings have a place to stay in the night, and then you, yeah. So it's around everywhere in the world. This is all these things now. It is saved in, as I said, JSON is a data format that we use to communicate. So all these things, you can see a sample of the data. Airbnb, JSON, GitHub, you'll see like the sample data of this. JavaScript, no. Airbnb, JSON, something like this. No, this is not it. Backsection. This thing is plenty. It's going to be plenty. I know it's going to be plenty. Just chill. Let's find another one.
This GitHub, what is it now?
Yeah, so once we do functions, we have power to be able to build. I will switch to VS Code. Then we can start building projects. So the job of GitHub, we are going to talk about it. The job of Git and GitHub, they are two different things. GitHub, they are two different things. We are going to install it and look at how they work. So Git, let me stop here. Sorry.